say, you know, as long as we're facing massive cuts of one type or another that have to come, it's mathematically impossible. The numbers don't add up. Well, I suppose they do add up to default. It's mathematically impossible for us to avoid cuts. Well, let's go back then and reevaluate all these claims that we got about government when we were in the 6th grade, by which government has more or less justified its ongoing growth, and Americans have acquiesced in it. Because I think even the best of us, in our heart of hearts, still can't quite emancipate ourselves from the idea that really government ultimately at root has our best interests at heart. It's wonderful self-serving, well, there we go, that was Freudian. It's wonderful, selfless public servants just looking out for the common good, and without them, well, we'd have no art, we'd have no science if it weren't for government science funding. See, I'm going to take on some of the hard cases. We'd all be ignoramuses if it weren't for the Federal Department of Education. We'd probably, our limbs would be blown off by exploding consumer products. We'd all be working for $1 a day in a mine somewhere. I mean, whatever. Right? I mean, every one of us in this room got that in school. Like, we all got that, and I understand, I mean, that is superficially plausible. I'm not saying people who believe this are idiots. I mean, I would be shocked if people believed anything different. This is what you're told 24 hours a day your whole lives. But what I'm trying to do is to stick a dagger through this. Because if I were running a racket like this, if I were running a racket like the U.S. government, that is exactly what I would want all you suckers to believe. That without my wise and paternal custodianship, you know, you'd all be a bunch of helpless and pathetic boobs. Oh man, I would so screw you guys too. But let's think though, let's imagine that the federal government is not the institution you read about in 6th grade civics. Let's suppose it says that our 6th grade textbook was wrong, and that the casual assumptions on which we have based so many of our political decisions have been faulty. Let's suppose the federal government has actually been an enemy of the people's welfare, and that the progress we've seen in our living standards has occurred quite in spite of it. It pits individuals, firms, industries, regions, races, and age groups against each other in a zero-sum game of mutual plunder. It takes credit for improvements in material conditions that we owe to the private sector, while refusing to accept responsibility for the countless failures and social ills to which its own programs have given rise. And rather than bringing about the so-called public good, it governs us through a series of fiefdoms seeking bigger budgets and more power. And despite the veneer of public interest rhetoric by which it camouflages its real nature, it is a mere parasite on productive activity and a net minus in the story of human welfare. Right? Let's suppose that description is
Damn.
Well, then this makes the coming fiscal collapse an opportunity to be embraced, not a calamity to be deplored. So let's talk about that collapse a little bit. Because I know a lot of people think, well, the debt is very high indeed, but it's been high for a long time. We've heard a lot of griping about it, but nothing seems to have occurred as a result. We seem to be struggling along all right, so maybe this is just a lot of scaremongering. Okay, I understand that. But when I say there's a coming fiscal collapse, I'm not engaged in any kind of wild extrapolation or crazy speculation. What I'm describing here is going to occur. And it's going to occur partly because we're seeing the aging of our population. And this can be measured. We know the people who are living longer, and by the way, that's good. We should be happy that we're living longer. But these people who are going to be living longer and longer and longer, including all of us in this room, we've already been born. So therefore, we can trace out our lifespans and make estimates on that basis, that there will be such and such number of people in retirement in this particular year. And so we've got an aging population. This demographic crisis is hitting the whole developed world. China's going to go through it. Japan is already going through it. Western Europe is being hit by it very badly as well. Everybody's facing it, and when Pete Peterson, who focuses on these issues, went to Western Europe and talked to a lot of finance ministers, what did they say? They all admitted it. Yeah, of course we can't maintain the welfare state programs that we've set. Of course, we all know that. We know that, but the idea was that I, the finance minister, will long since have been retired by the time this problem really hits.